And speaking of, we will now invite to our prestigious stage Carlos Aguado and Stoic Dan.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this, Carlos. Thank you, my friend. So today we're changing the format a little bit. Usually we present our own companies. We talk about how we developed it, what our goals are. Today I'm going to be talking to Carlos about creating a self-practice, a practice of discipline, of working on your business success, and of course, since philosophy is my thing, we're going to talk about looking inward a little bit and how to improve ourselves over time. That constant improvement is so great. So that really brings us to where I want to start. I remember when we first met, you were talking about creating this practice of discipline, either in the morning or the evening, something like that. And it reminded me of, in history, there's a philosopher named Seneca, who often in the evenings would write in his own journal and would think about the things he had done that day, or what he hadn't done, or he hadn't done right. And that's how he put himself through that examination. How do I make myself a better person? So let's start there. How do you, in your coaching service, how do you help people get into this routine of self-improvement?
Okay. Well, I guess everything started with me, you know. After building my own business and thinking that I was successful at one point, right? Whatever that means to anyone. To me meant just to be able to conquer all these dreams that I had, right? So I was able to get to that place where I guess I felt fulfilled because I overcame through the process of building rock formations, right? For swimming pools high end, I overcome myself, my fears, my angers, everything that it was in me, right? And then through the process of walking in the faith, like for 14 years, I also hit that end. So I hit a wall that it was pretty much, that's it. That's nothing else after that. That was at around 46. And I pretty much end up in a closet, believe it or not, inside a small walk-in closet. And I stayed there like for 40 days because I reached the point that that's it, like there's nothing else for me, right? I'm a married guy, two beautiful children, an amazing wife, and here I was at the end of my road. So I had two choices. One, it was either to, I guess, kill myself. Some people, they just take that road. And another one, it was just to wait on something. I didn't know what. And I decided to wait on that something, right? So I went into the closet, and I decided to stay there for 40 days. It was a lot of crying, a lot of brokenness, a lot of sadness, a lot of confusing, a lot of different thoughts. But the main thing that I guess that I found in that closet is that the one thing that I was running away from, it was the one thing that I had to run towards you. And that was the pit that is in each one of us. I don't care how good you are. There's a pit in each one of us that is killing the road. It's there to judge us. It's there to tell us that we're nobody, that we're nothing, that we're a loser. And that was the one thing that I didn't want to like accept. And then in that closet, I had to make a decision, and I had to say, well, I'm gonna have to face, call it however you want. In that moment, to me, I guess that was like a demon to me, right? This dark part that I didn't want to recognize about me. That when I came face to face find what I call, in spiritual terms, my spirit. If you want to call it, for your brains to make sense of this, my spiritual intelligence, which I call SQ. If you go to my website, you're going to see SQ real big, spiritual intelligence, right? But for those that like the term God, I was able to discover that part of me which is perfect, which is holy, which is truthful. And then I was able to start walking from that place, saying no to this other place. He was always calling me a loser. Let me just stop there so you can keep asking.
Okay, well, you're going in the right direction. When you're walking on that path, one of the things that we discover over time is we want to identify our core values.
Yes.
Sometimes that's a part of writing a business plan. You know, what are the core values that your company is going to represent?
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about here as an individual. You could be the entrepreneur who starts a company. You could be of a certain faith, like the Christian faith, and base your values on that. You could be
Totally.
secular. You could be basing these values on Buddhism or even humanism.
Mm-hmm.
How did you create your core values or list them?
Well, while I was in the closet, right, and I started doing my research, my assessment. Thank you for that word. I didn't have it until you brought it up. It sounds very professional.
I'll send the bill.
Yeah. I found that my core value, it was killing me, right? Which it was success. What core value? It was above love. It was above faith. It was above family. It was above everything else. And that's the one thing that I didn't know. I wanted it to be successful. I just didn't care how. And because of that, I was doing a lot of damage. Right? I was hurting my wife, I was hurting my kids, I was hurting my business, and I was hurting the people that were doing business with me because it was all about me. So that's what I found.
Okay, now let's examine the other side of the coin, because you mentioned the dark side before.
Yeah.
In philosophy and psychology, this is partly what Carl Jung wrote about when he wrote about shadow work. The shadow work is not focusing on your shadow or your dark side, but recognizing that each individual has a dark and a light side, and you are the fusion of both. And so to identify and face that dark side is difficult. You know, sometimes we don't want to go there because it's an awkward topic. But in our culture, sometimes we say things like face your fears. That is a good thing to do.
Yes.
It takes work, it takes courage. How did you face up to your dark side?
Well, it's very interesting what you're saying, because there's a psychologist that is in one of my groups. By the adult, okay, the loser, right, now has 3 psychologists in his group backing him up with the one thing that we're doing, helping people. And that's his subject, the dark side. Because when I came out of the closet, yes, I came out of the closet with commandments and programs and all kind of things, right? That was my coming out of the closet. I was able to come up with these logo, right? And there I was giving also a word that it was from the Bible, which is Matthew 25. Again, I don't want to get religious with you, but just like you said, you know, about what you have a passion for, I did have a passion for reading the book, like for 12 years, right? And the one thing I discovered in Matthew 25, it was very simple. It is connection, which is the flame, right? That part of you, flame, connect to the spirit, to that flame, to that side of you, which is truth. Then understand you, skills, your gifts, your talents, and then know who you have to serve. That's how you divide Matthew 25. And then I was told that if you do this every day, you will discover you, the real you. The real you is the one that is going to be able to have the power to overcome these two, the light and the dark. And when you do so, you're going to have the power to submit both to you, not to your ego. Because if you're in ego, it's because you still think that either you're good or you're bad. But it's the moment that you realize, or that I realized, that I did realize, excuse me, I keep talking about like I'm teaching, I'm just giving you my experience. But the moment that I did realize that I wasn't good, that I was horrible at being good, but then that I was also horrible at being bad. I come from Colombia, believe me, I know. I was bad at being bad. I tried. I sucked at being bad. And then I tried to be good, and I was even worse. I was like the black sheep in the middle of the whole white thing, right? So that's my thing.
All right, now I read something on your website. It said, "Embrace your past, but empower your future."
Yes.
Now, this is a very healthy philosophical concept. Obviously, the past is in the past, but in philosophy, we realize very strictly that you cannot change the past. So do not dwell there. That's the important thing. Learn from your past, but make good plans for the future. So how do you look at this area of your life?
All right. So what will you do if you find out that the only thing that you truly have is your past? Believe me, you don't have nothing else. That's all you have to work with.
That's not a good thing.
And if you don't want to go to your past to pull out the gold from your past, then I don't know how much future you have. Because everything it has been developed in your past. That's the one thing I have to see for myself in the closet for 40 days. It took me 40 days to study my past and to pull all the weapons, skills that they were developing me through the process of building my businesses. The moment I understood what I had is the moment that it was revealed to me the one thing that I have to do, which is very simple, is to help others do this one thing that I did wrong, which is business.
All right, now let's go to another topic, the big topic of ego and fear.
Yes.
Now, just this morning, I was talking to someone in the lobby, and we were talking about the topic of having fear of public speaking. And this is something that most of us have. It's don't feel bad for being put in that situation. That's really what culture gives you. But to overcome that fear, this is another part of our work that needs daily practice or weekly practice. How do you work with these topics of fear and ego?
Okay. How I overcome ego and fear is through the process of evaluating again, right? The one thing that I'm doing wrong and the one thing that I'm doing right. Understanding that I'm not either or again, because ego, it is just the one thing I believe about me, about you, and about the creator. And that's the one thing that separates me from the truth. So what I did is I created systems through chatbots where you can engage in conversations with you for about 10 minutes. And when you do so, you're able to pull out all the BS, right? First. And it happens with everyone. I already said with enough people, whatever comes out is all BS. I don't care how smart you are. Okay? I said in front of people that make millions to help them with this. And I keep finding the same thing, and people that were broke. So the moment we start engaging with ourselves, the first conversation that comes out is all BS. Then we go and we find how this BS is affecting our soul, right? And then we need to get to the truth, like, okay, our spirit, that part of us which is clean, holy, what does this part of me has to say about all this BS and about what I feel? Remember what I told you about feelings, which is at the soul level? And then I found that there is a truth, that it doesn't have anything to do with ego, and that it doesn't have to do anything with feelings. I told you that every single one that I talk to that it moves by feelings, they will always end up finding a closed door. Most of the time. Oh, I got a great feeling about this. You go. Boom. Most of the time, not all the time. That's moving from emotion, right? The idea is to be able to get to that place where you find the truth in you. It's that place that it doesn't lie to you. And this is the one thing that most of us don't want to do.
That's a very good point. And that truth that you're speaking of is elusive. It's hard to find. We usually are, wandering through town, doing our business activities, and we're so lost in a way to finding that truth. Ego is, as you mentioned, it's often the adversary of that. It slows you down.
It's right
so,
here.
oh, it's right on there.
It's a proverb, yes. It's called ego. I brought the one in Spanish, sorry. It's ego, rabia, y temor. It's ego, anger, and fear.
Wow.
Ego will initiate anger. And then after that is when fear comes. So every time you feel fearful, did I say it right? Remember, it's because you were at ego mode before, prior to that. So stop evaluate, become humble, seek the truth, and walk from the truth. And I promise you that you will overcome ego every time.
Wow. You talk just like an author that I follow. His name is Marcus Aurelius.
I heard,
and
yeah. Okay.
he wrote near the end of his life in the 2nd century, he wrote about how ego is so damaging and how you should be humble. Because think about it, if you're involved with your community, like right now, everyone in this room is involved with community. If you are working with other people, collaborating with others, that's a very deep sense of value that you can add to your life. And it means dropping the ego, because it means really working with others.
Totally.
So, all right, so let's talk briefly. We still have a few minutes left.
Nice.
When you help people develop their vision or their mission,
Mhm.
what's the process of that through your coaching service?
Okay, I didn't know this question. By the way, he sent me the questions, right?
Yeah.
Just for me to see where we were going, but I promised myself that I wasn't going to prepare, that I needed to speak from my heart, from the truth, right? Not trying to impress anyone. So the question, how do I help people to find the vision, the mission, and the purpose, right? Well, we start with helping them understand that there is 3 levels of creating this, right? And you can use your visual boards or whatever you already know, coaches right here, that we know how to do that thing, right? But I don't get into that, okay? I just want them to understand that there's 3 levels of creating. The number 1 is at the flesh level, which is the monkey in us. I think we all have one, believe me. I know mine, and everyone that I sat in front of, we found theirs too. So there is a monkey in us. There is a part that is animal, that it lives based on instincts. Instintos. How do you say that?
Instinct.
Thank you, sir. I didn't know you speak Spanish. You do? Okay. Then the second level is at the soul level, which is emotional level. You can go create from how you feel all day long. You're gonna find a bunch of closed doors. Or you can create at the SQ level, the spiritual intelligence. This is the place where it never lies. I don't care how much emotional you feel, how much you want to go, but that voice says, it's not time yet. It's not the time. You need to be patient. Did it happen to any one of you entrepreneurs around here? Patience? Patience is a fruit of the Spirit. And that's the number 1 thing you need to develop if you truly want to be a good businessman. If you know it, you're going to be a soul level business person, and you're going to suffer, and you're going to make everyone else suffer. How do I know? Because I did.
All right, another important thing we have to cover is wisdom.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
wisdom is a word that can be thrown around very easily today, but what truly is wisdom? How do you start a business and wanting to learn new things, try new things, find out what people need, but continue that philosophy through the years of growing your business, and then your business, before you know it, it's 20 years old, and you've developed all these products, but you have to keep learning along the way. The Zen Buddhists have a term for this. It's called shoshin.
Wow.
The ability to have a beginner's mind, always curious, like a child. Always, every day, everywhere it goes, the child is always exploring things, trying things. How do we create that shoshin in us? How do we keep curious? How do you do it?
Okay, I'm glad I pulled these out. I didn't even know you were going to go there. But I just want to show you something. There is this page in my, can you hold this for me 1 second?
Sure.
Thank you. This page right here, right? Which is the warrior in you, the spirit in you, the warrior in you, call it however you want. Is once you, the command that I was given inside that closet is, I want you to create this, and I want you to make it huge, right? So I had it print out huge to put in my closet. And then I had to fill out everything that it was in here. When I understood my perfect design from that place that it speaks to me from the truth, then everything that I do, it better be aligned with this. So I had to become curious about who I am. Once I understood that, then I started becoming very curious about what was the thing that I had to do out there. And that's how I work. Everything that I do, it comes from evaluating my past. Wisdom comes from understanding what happened yesterday and what was developed yesterday in me, so I understand what is the next thing that I have to do. I don't see it and wait to see what is it that my brain, my mind, my super ego is going to tell. No, the wisdom is in me. I already live 50 something years. I should know what is right, what is wrong, what is it that I'm good at, what is it that I'm horrible at. So it's by doing so that I'm able to make better choices because the master is already in me. I found a verse in the Bible that it says, the anointing that is in you, it will show you all things if you seek. The spirit in you, it will show you all things. So you're impressed with AI? You don't even know yet. This is SQ. And when you start asking the same questions that you ask AI, guess what? If you're willing to write, it's going to give you as much information that you need. And if you stop, it will stop. If you keep on going, it's going to keep on giving you information. Now, the question is, are you willing to do so? That's the challenge. That's it.
Okay. Well, I like that your booklet there has like a worksheet in it.
Yes, sir.
That's useful in a lot of self-improvement methods. If they give you the worksheet version or a printout, something you can print out off the web, and you fill those out maybe once a week when you're reviewing what you achieved this week, that's a good thing. Even more simpler is just writing in a journal. Every evening, if you take just 1 minute, 5 minutes, think about your day, what you did, what you didn't do.
What did I learn?
Yeah.
What was revealed? Right? What was developed? And then you're like, okay, when you start looking back, you see like a Lego is coming together. But every day they're giving you a little piece. Right. And if you don't wait and turn and look back, you're never gonna be able to see the Lego. And that's why you guys over here maybe feel frustrated about your business because you still don't know where you're going because you're not looking back to see what is it that is being built.
All right, so my last question for this interview, I've really enjoyed this. The last question, through all the things we've talked about, the dark side, the ego, collecting wisdom, being curious, ultimately for me, my opinion is this all ends up with purpose.
Yes.
To keep us moving forward every day, you don't have to think about, I got to go to work again today. If you really love it, love what you're doing and get up in the morning and try it, that's something that I think is like a self-motivational thing.
Yes.
And this goes all the way back to the ancient Greeks where they said, know thyself. Some of the most famous 2 words in philosophy, know thyself. Of course, it's very complicated to get there. What do you think is your purpose?
My purpose is to help. Listen to what I'm going to say, but I don't want to sound religious again, okay? So please, I just want to be able to release the Son of Man that is in your heart to conquer the world for you. Basically, the spirit in you needs to be set free because it's bounded in you because of your ego. That's my purpose. Again, it's for businessmen. I went to the homeless. I didn't found it there, believe me. I found it in businessmen because I know their pain. I know their suffering. I know the confusion, and I know your pit. Each one of you, if I sit down with you, I promise you, I know your pit. It is just like mine. But I also know your truth. You know why? Because it's just like mine. We will find that we're equal in the dark and in the light if you're willing to look. Thank you.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
You're not done yet, because in the spirit of how we do things here at 1 Million Cups, and I'm going to sit down. I don't usually sit down for this part. This is kind of cool. We're going to talk a little bit about the business that you're in.
Yes, sir.
And we've now put, through magic of we've got your contact information up there. And we're going to give a little bit of time for some questions, but I want to steer the questions a little bit. So I'm going to start off.
Yes, sir.
Your coaching business, your mentoring business. Where are you at in the business? Where, just what stage do you find yourself at? And maybe what are you looking to do to grow your business right now?
Okay, thank you for asking, because that was the reason why I never presented, right? Because I'm not a business. Number one, I just help businessmen, right? I'm not a coach, even though it says Cycle Coach. That was the first thing when I knew my calling. I was like, John Maxwell. I remember he said that this is kind of coaching, so I came up with this website, and then I found out that I'm not a coach, right? So I don't have a business. I do have a business, but it's not this one, okay? We flip houses, and I also buy and hold for rent. And as well, I did have a rock formation business, like I mentioned to you, that was the business that the moment I knew my calling, I sold everything in that business. So I left my business for my calling, and the real estate I did it just because I had to help my wife with it. So where am I in my business? Well, there is no such a thing as a business. This is the one thing I do, and it's completely free. I thought I was going to be rich, but I was also told that I cannot charge, and that anything that I'm giving from that place, I can't make any money on it. So, so I don't know what to say, but okay, this is the truth.
Then how do you want to grow it?
Is by the Spirit and through the Spirit. So again, this is something that I'm giving like a little Lego every day, and I have to trust it. And the more that I do this, the more that the other parts of this whole thing is coming together. Again, like I already have a small group. There's 3 psychologists there, and there's people that little by little they're coming because they want to be part of it. The only requirement is they have to do one of the programs by themselves. If they believe. That's how it came out. Thank you.
So I might throw out that there's maybe some messaging.
Yes, sir. So again,
I,
by the way,
I would love to see you grow and take this to where you've been inspired to take it.
Yes, sir.
Next question. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Carlos, this
Yes.
was a phenomenal presentation.
Thank you.
I have enjoyed it.
Thanks to
And
Dan.
you will find out why when I call you later.
Okay,
so-
okay.
But my question for you is, I'm going to be checking out when I'm on your website, what are you hoping me would find to make that next step of reaching out?
Well, to understand that there is a process that if you're willing to take, one of the programs, it's going to help you to find probably the one thing that is missing in you, which is you. That part of you that is probably missing. So that's my hope, that you can find you.
Okay,
Mhm.
great.
Carlos, yeah, I've enjoyed this as well.
Thank you.
I can relate to a lot of what you've mentioned.
Thank you.
Question for you, how do you start your day? What do you do before 9 a.m.?
I'll tell you something, and I tell you what, well, thank you. Okay, let me go there. Let me answer that question first. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, right? And I make a coffee. And I sit on the table, on a chair, close my eyes, and I start thanking the Creator for what He has given me so far. Then I turn and I start evaluating what happened yesterday. And I need to find His footprints yesterday, because that's the only one thing that is going to give me the hope to continue tomorrow. I do that from 3:30 to 5:30. From there, I go to the gym. I work out on muscles, if you can see. You need to have proof. And then after that, I run 2 miles every day. The reason, because I have to submit the monkey to me. He doesn't want to do none of these things. But I have been able to keep him checked for the last 7 years. Thank you.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
What time you go to bed?
I go around 9:30. Around 9:30.
So, I know you're talking about doing this for business people and entrepreneurs.
Man like me, you know.
Yeah, but can you expand it to teams? So, if, for example,
Yes.
let's say you have a startup team, and I know a lot of startups, you can have egos, right?
Yes.
Because we come from a big corporate background, or we perhaps did an exit in the past.
Yeah.
So, are you able to kind of break down a team?
Yeah.
Versus one person?
Do they have an ego and a spirit? If the answer is yes, yes, we can definitely work with them. Yes. And
Anyone
keep
else?
in mind that ego is what is standing on the way of the team as well. So,
Nick? And then Frank?
Yeah, I'm just curious to know more about the results. I mean, your process, like how long does it take in average maybe for the transformation, and what people usually get at the end after going with you this way?
the idea is for them to take this with them, so at least they know them. And I want them to understand that every decision that they're gonna make from now on, it has to be aligned with whoever they are. Because if not, they're just going by the emotions and they're gonna end up nowhere. Your soul will take you nowhere. Just remember that. I just want to leave it at that.
Yeah, no, thank you. This is great. Thank you, Dan. You're a great interviewer. I really like the way.
He's the one that made it happen this good, believe me.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
The one thing I would say, my one observation is you've done an incredible job building this, but I feel like you've hit your comfort zone now,
Mhm.
and I really think you're kind of stopping, right? It's not a business, it's not this, it's not that. So if you're telling us to reflect, why don't you reflect a little bit too?
Okay. So what's the question?
Well, that was a feedback.
Oh, that's a feedback. But then again, remember, you say a feeling. That means you're still coming from your soul. Give me something from your spirit if you're able to listen.
Um,
I'll do that.
Thank you.
You can help more people by scaling.
Okay.
And businesses enable you to scale.
Okay.
There's also followings that might be more of a less of a feeling, but aligned
Totally.
with
Yes.
your goal, of helping people.
Mhm.
The more people you can help, the more you fulfill your goal.
Yes.
And so how do you scale to help as many people as possible?
Okay. Again, because I had a business, I know how to do advertising, right? The Google thing, Facebook thing, I did it with my business. The calling for this, believe it or not, it is to follow through every day, and somebody else is gonna build it for me. And then I ask, but there is something a little bit similar to what I do at a scale level, a huge scale level. I don't know if you ever hear of Wake Up Warrior with Gary White. Okay, the guy has like 60,000 men, right? So when I was looking at what I was doing, and I saw what the guy was doing, I was like, man, I think something similar to him. And he just sent me a text this week through Instagram. The guy is American, and he sent me like, hombre, ¿por qué no estás conmigo? Why are you not with me? Yo te puedo ayudar a construir tu negocio. I can help you build your business like mine. He lives in a $6 million house. He just rides Lamborghinis, and they pay him $1 million per coaching. And I'm like, Garrett, I left my business to do my calling. I can't make a business out of my calling. He's like, okay, hombre, you know. So then he sent me another one. He says, well, I'm going to start a Bible study. I was like, yeah, okay, I go to your Bible study. So I went for the first time 2 days ago, and it was really good. So that is just the truth. I'm not here to impress anyone.
okay, we're running out. I'm gonna give Rod one, and then I've got a final question for you.
Yes, sir.
So, I understand about the calling.
Yes, yes.
I really do. My question is, the investment that somebody gives to something,
Mhm.
when it doesn't cost anything,
Yeah.
is many times half-hearted or very non-committal.
Yes.
And I'm not saying you have to make a lot of money,
Uh-huh.
but if you charge somebody $9 a month so that they are actually committed to something, I mean, $9 a month is less than a McDonald's Big Mac meal, right? And to where they have skin in the game. It would be interesting for you to try that on a certain group of people to see what their commitment level would be, and to where you could engage them for longer and help them for longer, because then they're looking at something. Once again, I'm not saying turn into a money-making prosperity or activity, but having somebody engaged on a financial level just changes their mindset. And it identifies them and that they're committed to something. So it's just a suggestion.
No, thank you, because everyone that I run into, everyone that I help, again, they're businessmen, so they all want to help, right? Like, they all give me this kind of feedback, and they're like, so how do you get your money? And I'm like, well, it comes through other sources, right? Like the real estate.
It's not about money, getting the money. It's about getting commitment.
For them, you're thinking about
for
them, the commitment for them.
For the
Yes,
commitment for
yes.
them. That's the whole thing.
Thank you. Yes.
So our final question
Yes,
is,
sir.
what can we, as the Orlando chapter of 1 Million Cups, do for you?
Well, I guess if you already know about what I do, I'm sure that you already know plenty of people out there that they're in business and that they're in a pit. So if you let it know about me, I promise you I can help. So just put the word out there for me.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Dan, for putting.
Carlos, it's a cup.
Oh, Carlos.
I don't have. I think
Okay.
I get it.
We'll make sure you do.
Presentation.
Thank you, Dan, for interviewing, doing that, using words. Again, words are hard. Words, math, life. I don't know. I'm not good at any of it. Follow us on the socials. Say nice things about us. And if you've made a good connection, we've got a new map, thanks to Eric, of coffee shops, locally owned coffee shops in town. There's only like 148. So you could go to a different one every day, but you'd go back during the year, so you'd be a regular at all of them.
Would we get a case of coffee if we go to all of them or something?
You get a case of something. If you go to all of them, I'll give you a t-shirt. How about that? Can't get a better deal than that unless you look for it. Next week, Roger Farida with New American Spring will be our presenter. We are still looking for another presenter, so if you have applied, please get with Josh and follow up with the next step to present. If you haven't applied yet, please consider applying, and we'll get you on the schedule. We look forward to hearing about your business and what you're working on. And we thank you all very much, and we will see you in 167 hours.
Oh, 10,001 seconds.
10,001?
A second.
That took more than a second to say.
Yeah.
I calculated this last week.
9,999.
My wife's birthday today, so I'm not going in, but I've got it. I just got